What's up, everybody? We got something a little bit different. This is a 08 Silverado. Never seen this era truck here on this channel. All that's about to change. Clocking in at 106,000 miles, and that means it's time for the 100,000 mile service. We're going to begin the 100,000 mile service by doing the spark plug and wire replacement. Now in the service information they tell you just inspect the spark plug wires, but with this thing having high mileage on it, chances are one of these fuckers are going to break, so we're just going to go ahead and replace them too. We're also going to have fun doing the number 8 spark plug, so that's something to look forward to. Now since I've never shown this era of truck before, chances are you've probably never seen me or my channel before. And just to give you a heads up, this content is for mature audiences. I'm going to talk like I'm going to talk, say what I'm going to say. If you don't like it, you might want to check out one of them Nickelodeon auto repair channels, because this shit's real. Fuck. Alright, so I'm going to start on the driver's side of the engine. This is what they call bank 1. This is cylinders 1, 3, 5, and 7. We're just going to go through the process. I'm going to show you every plug because some of them can be an asshole. And I just want to show you that they're all doable. So just go ahead and start pulling these wires off. I got these fancy spark plug wire pullers. Sometimes they work good, other times not so much. See, like that, sometimes they just get baked on those plugs. Sometimes you might even have to go in with just some regular pliers. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to twist the wire at the same time that I'm pulling it, kind of like that. I'm just going to go down the line and pop them all off. Oh, look at that. No tool required there. Now, as part of the 100,000 mile service, they want you to replace the plugs and inspect the wires. Dude, these things have been on here for 100,000 miles. We can ohm them out, but who's to say how long they're going to last? It's getting new wires. Now, if you look really carefully, you can see the ends of the spark plugs. Not sure how good you're going to be able to see number 1, but he's down there, trust me. Now for pulling the plugs out, I have this fancy swivel spark plug socket with a locking extension. This is just my personal weapon of choice. If you've seen this channel before, you guys know I love this thing. The real thing that's going to help your ass here is a thing that they call leverage. So I've got a pretty big 3/8 ratchet. You need leverage to break these plugs loose. Seen a lot of motherfuckers come up on here with a little 3/8 ratchet. You're not going to get the leverage needed to break these things loose. Remember, these things have been baking in this engine for 100,000+ miles. They're not going to be easy to remove. So I'm going to start back here on number 7. Not for any particular reason. And see, with leverage, the thing's already loose. Could go the long route and work these things out really slowly. We ain't really got time for that. Now this is an original 41-985, which was replaced by what? The 41-110, I think? Fancy. I'm just going to repeat the process and get the other 3 spark plugs removed on this side. Leverage. Leverage, motherfuckers. I know this tube's kind of in the way, but if you were working on this truck, you would see where the number 3 plug was. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this little temperature sensor just so you guys might be able to see this plug right here. Trust me when I say it's down there. I watched a couple of these Silverado spark plug videos where that's the only plug that they show. They make it sound so easy. And they even tell you how easy it is. Replace your spark plugs easy. So Got all the plugs out on bank one. I'm gonna prep the new plugs and we'll get ready to slap them in. So these 41110s, they come pre-gapped. You can check them with feeler gauges if you want. Now when I did this in my Trailblazer spark plug video, man, it created a lot of controversy just by putting a little tiny dab of Never Seas at the very beginning of the threads. Some Saturday afternoon engineers would talk about how that affects total plug torque. If you've replaced hundreds of thousands, if not millions of spark plugs before, you know it really doesn't matter. It's not going to affect anything. But YouTube brings out all the armchair engineers and mechanics. To them I say, fuck you. Make your own fucking video. And good luck. So I'm gonna take these over to the truck and we're gonna screw them in. Now putting these plugs back in this thing is a little bit different because we're not gonna go crazy torquing them down. I'm not gonna use my big ratchet. I'm not gonna use my little electric ratchet or whatever. I got Mr. Stubby 3/8 right here. That's all I use. And when I tighten it down with this, that's pretty much as tight as you need to go. If you wanna get super technical with your torque specs and all that shit, you gotta check somebody else out because torque specs are irrelevant. Take it from somebody that does this every motherfucking day. It might be hard to see. Hell, I can't even see what I'm doing. I'm just going by feel and by experience. So I'm gonna turn this in by hand as far as I can before I even use a ratchet. Because if you mess up these threads, you're in for some fun. So again, Mr. Stubby, give me just enough torque, nothing crazy. I know you guys might not be able to see the number 3 plug going back in because of this stupid harness in the way. Again, I can't even see it, but if you were here working on it yourself, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And that's it. Number 5 is going to be a butt head because this steering shaft's in the way, but no big deal. That's all she wrote for installing those plugs on bank one. So these are the wires I'm going with here. These are the 9748RR AC Delco. I'm not an AC Delco salesman or sponsored by them, but whatever. They give you this little dinky thing of dielectric grease. This is probably enough to do maybe 2 plug wires. Fuck that thing. If you're gonna do this, man, just spend the $7 and get a whole tube of the shit. And all you gotta do is just put a little bit right in there. Bam. That's it, nothing crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and prep all 8 of these motherfuckers. Now I also wanna take these metal sleeves off the old plug wires and just transfer them onto the new plug wires. Since these things are sitting right next to the manifold and they're cooking, this helps protect them from heat. What would happen if you didn't put these on? I don't know. Shit would probably melt if you want a scientific answer. So since I'm only got 4 done, I'm just going to do these 4. This thing also comes with some cool directions. Let's see, installation instructions. Remove 1 lead at a time, starting with the longest. Which one's the fucking longest? They're all the same length. Repeat for each spark plug wire. Verify correct routing and transfer of all shields, conduit, clips, and retainers. Get the fucking shit out of here. I didn't see any clips or retainers and none of that shit. So now that these 4 are prepped, we're going to go ahead and slap them on bank 1. Now, the most important thing here is making sure that you hear that audible click. So I'm going to start with number 7, where hopefully I'm not blocking you with my face. I'm going to go ahead, slide this guy on there. Now listen very still. You hear that? That. hear it? I know y'all heard that shit. Remember, we don't live in a perfect world. So there is a chance that inside the wire, the little connector inside, might not be tight enough. So we'll try it again, just listen. I moved my arm at the same time it made the click, but I felt that shit in my hand. Ready? All right, I'm gonna try to be very quiet. And that was actually the opposite of very quiet. All right, listen very carefully. That's my foot. Ready? Click. Hopefully you guys can see number one. Probably couldn't even see it. I felt it. See, I didn't hear it that time, so I'm just gonna try it again. That was it. Click. Since I unplugged this temp sensor, I'll go ahead and plug him back in. The only reason I took him out is so you guys could see what I was doing. So unlike what the directions said, there's no clips or harnesses, whatever they were talking about. That's pretty much it. Now, if you're doing this shit on your own at home and you do one side, you might want to just go ahead and start up the engine and make sure everything's cool. Because at least now, if like the truck runs bad, you can say, well, I just did one side, now it runs bad. I can narrow it down to that side. If you went ahead and did all 8 at once and you started up the truck and something just didn't feel right, maybe you had a misfire, now you've got to go through all 8 to see what happened. If it was cool now and then you mess with bank 2 and then there's a problem, well then you know the problem is on bank 2. All right, now the real fun begins because we just had a little bit of practice doing bank 1 where there wasn't really anything in the way but that steering shaft. Here, it's a little bit different. We've got heater hoses to get around and good old number 8. If you guys remember, number 8 in my Tahoe was a bitch, and it's going to be the same here, but it's not the end of the world. Since you guys got the gist of how everything goes, I really don't have to be specific showing each and every plug wire and connection, because if you were standing here like I am, you're going to be able to see the shit much better than any camera could show you. So, just like before, we're going to start by undoing all the plug wires, getting them out of here. We'll try hands of steel first. Hands of steel, apparently they're off today. Come on, motherfucker, twist. Fuck. You know, somebody on the internet said that this was supposed to be a fucking easy job. I think they were lying to get you to watch their video. There, you guys got a good shot of my arm. Yeah, fuck you. That wasn't so bad now, was it? Now I'm going to start with number 8 since that's the hardest one. I'm going to use a different spark plug socket. I'm not going to use the one with the swivel. I'm going to use this one right here. It has a cool hex at the very end. I'm going to slide a socket on that. Then it should stick out long enough for me to get a ratchet on it. No big deal. If you look very carefully, right there, you can just see that socket sticking out. It's gonna give me more than enough room to get a ratchet down in there, crack that thing loose. You just barely see the chrome of that socket. Unfortunately, my super awesome long ratchet has a little flex head to it too. Tough to get to. It's at a bad angle. It is what it is. And I don't know how many times I've done a tune-up on one of these trucks and number 8 did not match the rest of the plugs. Some mechanics just won't change it. So I've got it in as far as I can go. with my hand. And again, I'm going to take Mr. Stubbly. Now, since it's at such a bad angle, I am going to use my longer ratchet. You gotta remember, we've got all this extra leverage now. So we don't want to go crazy tightening it up. Just a little, You ain't gotta push it with all your might. So the reason why I took out number 8 and put number 8 back in, it's because I'm already accustomed to the weird angle that I'm working on. I don't want to just take number 8 out, move on to 6, 4, and 2, and then put 2, 4, 6, and then worry about 8. I just do number 8 kind of like its own deal. And what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to take the raw footage of this, and I'm going to put up how much time it took me just to do number 8 without all the edits you might see. So I'll put it up here. Now, if you're new to my channel, and this is the first video you're watching, you might be saying, why the fuck is this guy showing us all 8 spark plugs? I mean, I don't need to see all 8 of them. Well, what I've learned over the years is, it's better just to show too much than too little. Somebody might have a problem, say, getting, I don't know, just say number 5 or number 7 because of the steering shaft. And if I just showed number 1, and then you had to deal with the steering shaft, you might be saying, well, how the fuck? Why didn't he show me? So I just think it's more of a service to people out there that watch these kinds of videos, just to show everything. Some people, they might not have the attention span to sit through a 20-minute video for replacing spark plugs. And I've just learned that you can't please everybody. So instead of trying to please everybody, I just do what the fuck I want to do. If you want to watch it, that's cool. If you don't, it's cool. I also watch YouTube videos. I work on pretty much any kind of car, you know, at my real job, which is doing this stuff. Being that I work on anything and everything, a lot of times I have to learn how a system works, learn where components are located, and a lot of times that brings me to YouTube. Even though I have access to the service information for just about every manufacturer, sometimes the manufacturer does not explain it well or tell you where things are. Matter of fact, and this is a real story, just yesterday I had I think it was a Kia Sportage or a Sorento, I forget, they're all the same to me. I wanted to know how the power mirror worked, and the Kia service information wasn't very helpful. So I turned to the internet to find a better answer. And while YouTube did not help me, there was a post on a Kia forum, which actually did. And it turns out that on those Kias, some people add the power rear view mirror if it wasn't equipped with it from the factory. And to make the mirror work, you only really need a 3-wire setup. So while the Kia service information was talking about, you know, this 10-circuit, So what I come to find out was that if you were adding this power mirror, I keep saying power mirror, but all it was it had a compass and home link in it. You only needed 3 circuits for that mirror to work. And it was just a switch power, constant power, and a ground, but the Kia service information didn't talk about it. So I use the internet for shit just like people that watch me. And I know what I want. I want as much detailed information as possible. So that's why I do it like I do it. That's why you're going to see all 8 spark plugs being done. I realize that not everybody wants to watch that, and that's cool. I don't give a fuck either way. you could take your fucking car and your spark plugs and shove them up. Well, we got all the spark plugs and wires replaced. Let's start her up. Now in this case, we weren't chasing misfire codes or anything. We were just doing this more for the 100,000 mile service. So I really don't expect the truck to run any better or any different. It didn't have misfires before. At least the peace of mind is there to know that the plugs are done. We don't have to worry about that. Wires are done. We don't have to worry about that. So it's all good. Now, something about these trucks that's not in the service information, but we're gonna do anyway, we're gonna clean the throttle body and do the idle learn. And that's coming up next. So if you got one of these trucks, subscribe, don't subscribe, I really don't give a fuck, but there's gonna be more of this era Silverado upcoming, including the rest of the 100,000 mile service. And yeah, we're really gonna do the whole thing. So that's pretty much it. All right, so this wraps it up for part one of the Silverado 100,000 mile service, replacing the spark plugs and wires. A couple fun facts. Here's a copy of my Amazon order. This costed me under 90 bucks. That included 8 of the 41 110 plugs, a set of plug wires, and a Wacky tube of that dielectric grease. So 90 bucks, not too bad. 90 bucks and I only have to do this every 100,000 miles? Not bad at all, you know what I mean? Now I want to show you guys something that I've been sitting on for a while because I had a feeling this day would come. That day is today. So let's go over this thing. First thing you're going to notice, second from the left column, that's the quantity column right there. So if you take the top line for example, it says 8. Then you go over it says 41-962, which were the wrong plugs for this truck, but whatever. If you go over to the second from the right column, it's $14.99. Then you times it by the quantity. So that's why it's times 8. To bring up to $119.92 for the wrong spark plugs. Go all the way down to the last column, you're going to see 2.5 labor for spark plugs. That's going to take their labor rate of 112.37, times it by 2.5 to give you the 280.93. I didn't want to alter this photo in any way. That's why I left up the 2 ignition coil things there. What that was all about was there was a choice of 2 coils. It was either going to be the square design or the roundish design. This service writer was pretty good and would just go ahead and get them both and only bill out the one that was used. Forget the ignition coils on this thing. We'll just go over the price of the incorrect spark plugs for that engine, the wire set, and the spark plug labor. The grand total here was $540.44. So this brings our savings for the 100,000 mile service on the 2008 Silverado to over $450 already. We've just done one item on this list. Now that's a pretty significant savings. I mean, just think about it. $450 would probably cover the rest of the fucking service. That would cover the transmission fluid change, the whole thing, the whole 14 quarts or whatever, the transmission filter, the transfer case, the diffs. Well, fuck it, let's just go to the list. Because I've got a plan here. Now, just like with every truck in my fleet, I just get the OEM maintenance schedule and I follow it. That's it. So, our plan here for the 2008 Silverado, replace plugs and wires, we did that. We're going to do the transmission fluid and filter change. We're going to change the transfer case fluid. We're going to service the cooling system. The air filter is also part of the 100,000 mile service, but as you're going to see in the throttle body video, it has some stupid cold air intake thing. It was like that when the dude bought the truck, you know what I mean? So that's not going to be included. The additional services that we're going to do is a throttle body service. The reason for doing that, it's got some idle fluctuation. The throttle body's never been touched. And it seems like there's a lot of videos out there that address cleaning the throttle bodies in Silverados without telling you one important step to that procedure. This is another deal kind of like my Tahoe and my Trailblazer. There's no recommended interval for servicing the differentials. They basically say it's a lifetime fluid. I kind of personally don't believe in that shit, so I'm okay with changing out the differential fluids both in the front diff and the rear diff. And all that stuff will pretty much cover us for the 100,000 mile service on this Silverado. Now, just like with my Tahoe, the 100,000 mile service on this Silverado is going to be spread out over time. Try to knock out 1 or 2 things a month, kind of spread it out, you know what I'm saying? So that's it. Stay tuned. As we knock more stuff off of this 100,000 mile service list, the videos will follow. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe.